All right. So another one of the areas that we had paranormal experiences with was Lake Avenue in Pasadena. So it basically covers go all the way to the end of Lake Avenue to the Cobb Estate. It'll be on the right hand side up there, and from my understanding, it actually burned in the recent Eaton fire, which we could see from our house. And anyway, so we had multiple experiences there. My dad and I used to go up there and hike all the time. And my buddy and I, again, the one in all the other videos that I've been talking about, had a couple experiences there. And my sister and I had a couple experiences there. And one of the experiences was so there used to be a railway called the Echo Mountain Railway that went up the mountain to I forget the Echo Mountain House, I think it was called, all the way at the top of this mountain. And so at the base was a small hotel, from my understanding. And so basically people could gather at this hotel and take the railway up the Mount Low Railway or Echo Mountain Railway, whichever one of the two you want to call it, and take it all the way up to the Echo Mountain House. So the hotel had burned down, and so you can tell I'm just sick. Anyway, so my dad and I went one time, and so the foundation for the hotel down below, where you got onto I guess you want to call it a tram, because that's essentially what it was, to go up to the Echo Mountain House. The foundation for that was still standing. I don't want to say standing, but you could see the foundation of the house, the hotel, and how it was laid out and everything, from the fire that destroyed it. So it still had the steps up into it, and the 4 steps on each side, because it had steps on the north, the south, the east, and the west. So it had stone steps going up on each side, north, south, east, west. So anyway, my dad and I were there at this point. This was like 2011, 2012, I want to say. And we were going up. And we had parked on Lake Avenue, and we were walking through Cobb Estate, and we saw this foundation. I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. So I walked up the steps onto this foundation, and there's a tree growing there, and like right in the middle of where the ballroom would have been, or whatever room it was a pretty big room. And so I had walked up the steps, and all of a sudden I'm looking around, and it's a whole entire house. It actually looked like the inside of the hotel at the time, when before the fire, obviously. And there were people walking around in 1920s attire, and they were looking at me like I was from out of their world, which I was, and obviously, and I was like, well, this is really weird. I've never experienced this before. That's weird. I had never, it was different from my experience at the Mason area at Green Acres Cemetery. I don't know how to explain it, but it was completely different. I was actually transported to that time. It was just weird. It was hard to explain. So I went to go turn around, and I turned around and walked down the steps, and I was back in, 2011, 2012. And I was like, well, that's weird. Like, and then I turned back around, and I walked back up the steps, and nothing happened. So I was like, and then I was looking around for my dad, and I couldn't find my dad, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden, I see my dad, go down the steps on the east side, and he like just appeared out of thin air, like behind a wall. And I had walked over, and I'm like, well, we were facing each other, and then you walked out there. I said, did you experience this, and this? And he goes, hell yeah, I did. And he goes, I even saw you across the way. And I was like, well, that's weird, because I didn't see you, and I was looking your way. He goes, you were looking right at me, but I guess we couldn't see. I saw you, but you didn't see me. And I was like, that was so weird. And that was an experience that my dad and I shared at the Cobb estate at the end of Lake Avenue. And there were several other instances where me and my sister, we went up hiking. We heard at nighttime, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, we heard disembodied voices, whispers, screams, shouts. But, everybody's up there, other people are hiking too, so, you don't know if it's somebody else or whatever. My sister did experience hands on her. Hands on her shoulders. She felt somebody push her on her back. My buddy, that's multiple in my videos. Him and I went up, and we were dead set determined to go all the way to the top to where the Echo Mountain house was, and because he wanted to see. Like they have some of the tracks from the Echo Mountain Railway, the tramway that went up there. They have some of the winches that pulled that up. Some of the foundation from the house was still there. Some of the old machinery was still up there. Probably still is, just burned by the fire. But we were on our way up there, and we were walking, and we have multiple flashlights and stuff like that, and we were just walking, just taking our time and all that stuff, and all of a sudden he trips, and because it's a dirt trail, and there's roots growing all over the place and all that from everything, and he tripped, and he was like, we need to go. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, did you hurt yourself? Like, what's going on? And he goes, my ankle rolled. And he said, my ankle went to go roll. And I felt two hands on my chest. And they pushed me back up and held me up and said, he heard a voice that said, I got you, don't worry. And he said that his ankle stopped rolling. And, again, he's a big dude. At that time, he was, 400 pounds, 6'8", So, once he gets rolling, it don't stop, But he heard a voice that said, don't worry, I got you. And he felt two hands, push him up like this. And he said as soon as he felt those two hands on his chest, his ankle stopped rolling, and he didn't have any, when it starts rolling, you get that twinge of pain. And he said the pain went away. Like, he didn't feel any more pain, nothing. And I was like, well, what the fuck, dude? Let's keep going. Like, what the hell? And he goes, no. He goes, I'm done. So, we were about a quarter way up the mountain, no big deal. So we turned around and left. And right in time for Pasadena PD to be pulling up right behind the pickup that we were in. And they questioned us, gave us a ration of questions. What are you doing here at this time of night? You know, we could impound your vehicle. We could we could arrest you. Got all this freaking bullshit. And, you know, whatever. We got out of it. And I told him, well, he's visiting from Orange County. You know, I wanted to show him the area. And I'm like, really? Like, you can't arrest us for parking on the street here? Oh, well, there's street signs that say no parking. The street signs that they had were like 30 feet off the ground. So you couldn't even see them. You literally had to strain your neck to see them. Anyway, whatever. But yeah, then my dad and I, we had several other experiences. Like, we'd be walking along the path to get to the Cobb estate from Lake Avenue, and we would see women and men in period clothing, like 1920s, 1930s dresses and suits and ties and all that, and like rich looking people that really don't belong there, and all that stuff, and we just see stuff like that. We'd hear out of body voices and all that kind of stuff. We'd hear screams and stuff like that. And I believe the first fire that happened at that hotel, I think, if I remember correctly, I think people died in that fire because they couldn't get out in time. I believe that's correct. But yeah, you would hear like screams, you'd hear disembodied voices, and you would see apparitions and all kinds of stuff up there. And you know, it's probably closed now because the Eaton fire swept through there and wiped everything out. But yeah, that was another place that we had paranormal experiences in California.